down, pulled it out, sat down and said, right, 3 hours and 20 minutes of absolute unadulterated glory.
Did you sit and watch this in one sitting?
Damn tootin'.
Right.
Yep. Oh, for something like this, absolutely.
I did, but that's because I always do that.
You're just Spartan like that, aren't you? Yes. No, I was all settled in. I did it on the Sunday night and I couldn't wait. I started like 5 o'clock in the afternoon and went all the way through.
I did it last night.
So it's fresh.
It is very fresh.
It's steaming, as it were. Okay, Pip.
Now, truthfully, I couldn't because it's been so long since I've seen Apocalypse Now.
Yep.
I couldn't remember what was new and what wasn't new.
Now, before you start, how long ago, like how old do you think you were when you first saw the film?
20?
You were 20 years old.
I reckon.
Now, I know 20-year-old Pip.
Yes.
She is not who you are now today. So this is the thing. This is why I put this up, because I wanted to see somebody who hated the film then because of who and what she was to the grizzled old veteran that you are now and what you think of it. This is why I paid my money today. This is the whole reason I'm here.
I found it bad, but for different reasons.
Pray tell why. At least you've come in with different reasons, so that's good.
Where before I was like,
regale me.
Oh, that's awful. How could they do that to people? Rah, rah, rah.
Yeah, they switch a button and away they go.
Which is what used to happen.
Yep.
My thing was, it was too fantasy, and I realise it's based on a book that was written back in the late 1899.
Yes, on the Belgian Congo.
On the Congo, yes.
The Heart of Darkness.
Yes.
The Heart of Darkness.
The Heart of Darkness.
The Heart of Darkness.
That's right.
Yes.
You got it.
It's
have
a wonder.
Have you read it?
Of course I have.
Was it good?
It wasn't terrible, but it's a 19th century book, so of course I've read it.
Okay.
Yep.
It gave off, to me, they're trying to mesh, and they haven't done it successfully, a true event with a very fictitious event, i.e. the book. Yeah. I don't feel that it melded very well. I found it too... It didn't. It was... At times, it's just stupid. They've gone over the top, and all the...
In what way, Pip? What way have they gone over the top?
Every way, Paul.
What are you talking about? Be specific, girl.
Okay. Sending one man off to kill another man.
Well, one-on-one? That's not over the top.
It is for real life.
He had reinforcements. He had a whole boat.
He had a boat of 17-year-olds.
One was 17.
The rest were very young kids.
What about the captain?
Chief.
He
wasn't supposed to go up. He was supposed to hop back in his boat and keep going back.
He was the tip of the spear.
I thought the chief was my favourite character.
He is
Albert
good,
Hall
isn't he?
is awesome.
Yes, he is very good. Yes.
He is my favourite.
I love the chef.
Oh.
Well, who was the messy bitch? He was the messy bitch, wasn't he?
He went crazy too. He and Lucas went crazy too quickly for me. I would have liked a bit more.
No, he was too crazy. Well, they said he was too high strung for New Orleans, which is the most low strung place that there is.
I just
as long as the
his extremes were too extreme for me, because when he was being normal, he was normal, and then he would go full extreme again. To me, I don't know.
He couldn't deal with.
No, I got that. It's scary being chased by a tiger.
A fucking tiger.
Some of the things that happened were just a bit too stupid.
No, do you think he... Okay, all right.
Okay, there were
do you think that his reaction was over the top for nearly being, eaten?
Yes. It felt too over the top to me. It just...
Have you sometime...
Paul...
I'll be very careful how I put this.
Stop talking over the top. When I watched it... I got the vibe of, oh, this is so stupid, rather than, oh my gosh, he's just nearly been eaten by a tiger, which would happen in that area because there's tigers.
Yep.
But instead I've got the whole, oh my gosh, the eye roll.
Yeah, but that's you not coming in with a clear slate.
I came in with a clear slate.
No, you did not.
I did come in with a clear slate. I always do. Okay? This film, I didn't hate for the same reasons I hated many years ago.
No,
now I'm upset.
Supplanted those hates with new ones.
Well, no, back then I was like, oh, that's horrible. How could they do that? And I'm like, no, this is what happened. This is actually what happens in war. That makes perfect sense.
I know people who would be as reactionary as what Chef is.
Okay.
That is the fight and flight in his system. He nearly got eaten by a fucking tiger, Pip.
No, but the fact that he kept...
He had the absolute shit scared out of him.
No, I know, but the way they behaved in certain ways...
Yeah.
Like, that he kept going on about the tiger, and then it kept going on for 20 minutes of the film. They didn't have to show all this extend. We could have got a short bit and it would have been fine, but they kept extending it so it didn't feel real anymore. So there's certain scenes that just dragged on that made it extreme.
You have a go at films for not giving you enough information, generally, don't you?
This was far too much information.
Oh, so there is a dividing line now, is there?
It's like porridge. You don't want it too hot. You don't want it too cold. You want it just right.
Now, Apocalypse Now, the porridge edition.
They're just right. I'd like a whole grain of cereal.
Apocalypse Now, not too hot and not too cold. It's just Redux.
So I found some of it just a bit too crazy and didn't quite make sense in the fact that they extended
All right, I'm going to float something at you here.
Go for it.
You ready?
Yeah.
You hanging onto your seat? You're right. One of the themes that Apocalypse Now is trying to get across is the insanity of war.
I got that. War is insane.
They needed to show people who are actually insane, and there was many different types of insanity in this film.
Okay, I'll tell you two scenes that I thought made perfect sense.
Right.
The scene where they're building the bridge is getting knocked down.
Yep.
Nobody knows who's in charge.
Sure.
Who's the CEO? I thought you... Oh, they're not CEO. CO. I thought you were the CO. That made perfect sense because that would have been something that would happen.
Can we look at some themes to some of the characters? And I'm going to be like this because I want you to appreciate at what level this film is playing at. Okay, let's look at the different types of crazy in this film. Okay, first of all, you've got the crazy of the two commanding officers who send him into the jungle in the first place.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, Harrison Ford, not a good actor. He wasn't. He was very dull in that, wasn't he?
He's in the film for 2 minutes.
No, he had a lot of talking. He had quite a talking role in that.
He had 2 minutes
Yes,
of debrief.
he had a big moment. It was all about him,
So
and he blew it. As a crappy actor would.
He is not a crappy actor, but they're putting up when the big voice before goes, Harrison Ford, blah blah blah. You know.
Yes, I know.
I'm thinking he was in the film for like 2 minutes.
Yes,
Even the guy who goes, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. He's only in the film for a very short period of time.
Yes, but they used him because he's a big name now, not when he was doing that.
What I'm saying is, that didn't link well. I'm thinking, well, why make such a big deal of this scene? And
that's why, because he's a big name when they're doing the Redux version.
I didn't like that aspect.
Well, that's just marketing.
I'm just telling you, that's how I felt.
Okay, but you can't blame the film for that. He just played the role and he played it poorly. And you can't blame anybody else for it.
I'm letting people know.
Blame him.
I'm letting people know that if you're going to watch this film,
don't expect much from Harrison Ford.
Because Harrison Ford's in it, he's in it for like 2 minutes. And so therefore, and there's other people, and there's other scenes that people think of, and they're only like a couple, that's not a big part of the film. So if you're watching it purely for those parts, you're probably going to be disappointed.
Doing an average role.
Well, it's an average film.
For an average actor.
Well, there you go.
Okay. Now, so they're batshit crazy.
Who? You need to be more specific.
The two commanders.
Who is batshit crazy?
The two commanders.
Are they? Are they not just...
They are.
Are they just doing this so they don't have to?
They are the conformists. They're prepared to kill a man, as it was said.
I don't think
they are prepared to terminate a man under extreme prejudice for being an effective commander.
That doesn't make
That's
them batshit...
not sane.
That doesn't make them batshit crazy.
No, they're prepared to kill a man.
No, they're not killing a man. They're giving that task to somebody else. People love doing that. I'm not going to have a dirty hand.
Well,
I'm
sure history looks at commanders like that. I'm sure that's how it actually works. When they give other people orders to carry out the dirty work for them.
It wasn't me. He did it.
He did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Says they in the Nuremberg trials.
That's not batshit crazy. That's going, I need this done. You
banged.
Do it.
Now, you like to think yourself, not prejudiced in any way, but you're showing a lot of your prejudices in this, I have to say, because you're being argumentative.
Yeah, but that's because you're arguing.
Well, that's because you're wrong.
Who's prejudice?
I can't help it if you're wrong, Pip. Mm-hmm. The film is a classic. The film isn't just a classic. It's the greatest film of the 70s. And I'm including Star Wars in that because Star Wars doesn't come cooey within this.
I just want to remind everybody out there listening, this is only Paul's opinion. Okay, it's not mine.
And
it's only Paul.
Look, I'm universally right, and I think most people can come to that conclusion, seriously.
Wow, Paul.
Okay, I'm just going to make this point. They were crazy. I believe that they were crazy. They were prepared to kill somebody who didn't conform to their style of warfare. Okay?
I'm listening.
You're being facetious
And I'm enjoying
by your
it.
actions. Okay. He is crazy. He is obviously...
Who is crazy?
Willard.
Okay. I don't think so. I think he's actually very clever.
He is. No. In this film, he is the eyes of the narrator. He is the narrator, and he is a very passive role in all of this film. I believe he is.
And you think he's crazy?
He
seems very calm and collect to me.
He went back to civilization, back to the States.
He couldn't cope. That doesn't make him crazy.
Why do you think he couldn't cope?
Many people who came back from war couldn't cope. That doesn't make them crazy.
You don't think he was post PSTD?
Yes, but that doesn't make him crazy. It's a different thing.
It's a mental illness.
That doesn't make him crazy. They're two different things.
It's a form of insanity.
No, it's a form of not being able to mentally deal with what he's got in front of him.
You're splitting very fine hairs here.
No, I'm not. There's a great difference between he's crazy and the other people's crazy.
It's showing... All I'm trying to say is you have a look at all the various different types of crazy.
I thought the fact that he was able to
Maybe
organise...
I'm using the wrong... Insanities, perhaps?
I think you're just blanketing everyone.
Okay, fine. Robert Duvall's character. Colonel Kilgore.
Oh, he was crazy.
Batshit.
He was batshit crazy.
Right.
No.
Was he less or more
much
batshit than Marlon Brando's character?
More.
And yet he was fighting the right kind of fight.
Was he?
For the commanders. They weren't going to send somebody out to kill him.
No, because he was
doing atrocities at the same level.
Yes, but he was doing it as they asked him to. The difference is he was just going to do it because they gave him the right to, where Marlon Brando's character, Kurtz...
Thank you for arguing my point so eloquently.
You haven't argued anything. All you've done is say, I think they're all crazy.
I have to say, your impersonation to me is becoming increasingly sharper and sharper as the years progress. Dear, oh dear. Okay.
I don't think Marlon Brando's character... He was drunk on power. I don't think he was crazy. In the regard of the same as what's-his-face? Colonel I kill stuff.
His mind was mad. No, his mind was clear, but his soul was mad.
Oh, he was evil he was an evil shit, but he knew he was evil. Where the other guy goes, I'm right, and he was doing evil things. You've got to look at this very differently. These characters, you've got different levels of psychosis here. You can't just blanket this. You want people to go into this film thinking it's great. You've actually got to tell people there is different levels here. Otherwise, why bother?
So it's a very layered film, isn't it?
I didn't come in with prejudice.
No, it's a very layered film, though, isn't it? It's a complex film.
It's complex.
And it's got
I wouldn't say
a
layered.
lot of competing things running through it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the characters are, by definition, interesting characters. You don't find any of those characters intriguing?
Not really.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
I wasn't really...
Why do you not find them interesting? All the way down to the guy who's...
I think it was too fantasy-based for me. They didn't feel real enough for me. Yes, you can see they're crazy and you can understand where they're coming from. You had enough information.
Well, it's interpretation of a 100-year-old book.
I know. I didn't say that. All I said was I didn't feel that any of the characters were real. It felt like a fantasy and a sci-fi mash that didn't work.
It didn't work?
No.
Well, the adulation it's had over the last 50 years would indicate that possibly many people may disagree with you on that
And
case.
do you know the good thing about this podcast?
They can.
You and I are so different, and people can go, I agree with Paul, or I think Pip's right. And it makes everyone happy.